In this video, I'll share some of the biggest ADHD struggles that I have, you have, all of us have, so you can vibe, relate, and maybe even feel normal, whatever that means. Because you see, a lot of people think that ADHD struggles are something that you fix and then have less of. But in reality, ADHD management is not like healing from a cold. It's more so like dealing with type 1 diabetes, where people also have a regular medication. They also have strategies that help them, but every single day, it's still a battle. It never really truly gets easy, and you need to consciously apply all these solutions. So no, I don't have everything solved for myself. I still struggle every single day, but there's a lot of power in acknowledging that and in accepting that. I have seen it time and time again with completely different people. Once they are like, this is a real problem and I need help, then they can mold their lives to what they need and make things so much easier for themselves. So let's talk ADHD struggles. If you share all of them with me, you can write bingo in the comments, and we're twins. But also I'll be sharing some tips, advice, and stories that I have for them, so maybe we can make them a little bit better. Let's start with work-related struggles. Most of us believe that we are the worst at work, mostly because other people seem to have it all together and we know a lot of our internal problems. We need accommodations for things like organizing our work, prioritizing, time management, and if we ask for certain accommodations, we can achieve a lot better results. The one biggest issue that employers often have with us is a lack of communication. So we'll have all these struggles, but we'll think we're the worst, we'll be ashamed and absolutely afraid to talk about them. And they would want us to say what's wrong, communicate more. So if you feel like it's safe, share some of these struggles, be vulnerable, see what comes on the other side. Accommodations, or at least some understanding, maybe some support. But again, make sure that it's a safe environment. Hopefully, in the end, you will also realize that no, you're not the worst. Productivity struggles. A huge struggle here is hating to follow instructions and be told what to do, but also wishing you could just follow instructions and be told what to do. That is a huge accommodation that we could get at work. People giving us exact steps for what we should do, when we should do it, prioritizing it for us. But somehow, once it's cemented and it's a must or an expectation, it just feels icky. Falling down random rabbit holes when you are distracted and maybe spending multiple hours on them. We all do that, and it's really important to avoid these distractions before they happen, because when they have actually happened, it's almost impossible to promise you that you will be able to resist them. Constantly looking for new systems to try, but also abandoning them pretty quickly or forgetting that that ever happened. I'll add to that that sometimes setting up the system initially takes so much energy that we just give up before we've even actually properly used it. It's okay to have multiple systems. The point is to be able to understand what you're actually struggling with at the moment and then choosing the correct system to apply to that struggle. Using 100 things to support and organize yourselves that other people don't seem to need, but fuck what they need. It's helping us, that's really all that matters. So if your phone has 50 alarms and 50 different apps, you have an accountability buddy, a coach, medication, 50 reminders, then so be it. I would love for the world to change and support us in the future, but right now, do whatever you have to do to function in this society that is not built for you. Not being able to see the big picture and getting stuck in the details where you start potentially working on unnecessary things instead of on the things that make the biggest progress, seeing what is the most important thing, seeing which order you should do the things in and when, generally being able to plan things in time, find the most efficient route is not really our forte. Relationship struggles. Fun fact, I once held a workshop where each person had to share their top 5 ADHD struggles. What came up the very most were relationship struggles. And I don't think it's because we have more relationship struggles than anything else. I think it's because other people remind us of how much it's not normal, not acceptable to act the way that we do. And we therefore feel guilty and ashamed and notice these things much more than we do our other struggles. That's probably my biggest problem area, and I want you to know that even though I've been a coach and learned for a long time and helped a lot of people, this is an area that could take years of work to see any improvement, and that's been the case for me. misreading social situations, not knowing how the other person in front of you is feeling or what the right thing to say is based on that. I think many times it's because we have our own head full of things, or we're not paying the proper attention to that, or for multiple other reasons, but it can be very problematic. Misunderstanding sarcasm and humor, a big one for me, but in reality it is that I just can't compute all of the details and realize that they're just joking that fast in order to react appropriately. So oftentimes I'm like, yeah, I believe you. Shout out to any other Slytherins in the comments, by the way. Feeling awkwardly or like an oddball in social situations where people don't immediately catch your vibe. I know this used to make me feel really ashamed and embarrassed before, and I would be like, why? in the shower. But recently I have realized that through acknowledging my ADHD struggles, acknowledging how I'm different and how neurotypical people are different, the last time I had this situation happen to me, my thought was only, those are not my kind of people. We don't click with them. I'm just different and they're different, and that's perfectly fine. People pleasing even when you don't want to please, and always caving in to your own detriment. That's one that comes with a lot of trauma and criticism, and it's incredibly hard to solve. And for me personally, with all the bullying and misunderstandings I have faced in my life, I do tend to default to trying to be as nice and understanding as possible, just so I don't get that again. Because with the bullying as well, I wasn't being mean to receive that. I was just being different. So I'm kind of trying to be what people accept or expect so that I don't get this treatment. And I don't think that's a good thing. I'm working around it. I'm getting all the help I can get. But really, honestly, that's a huge struggle for me, probably the biggest one for me. Assuming the worst when faced with negative feedback, in that situation, a lot of what helps is trying to gather clues. Is that how they treat other people around you? Are they having that kind of day where they would say something like this? Historically, how have they treated me? Or even easier, but it takes feeling comfortable with the person, asking them what they mean when they give you that feedback so that you know what it actually is about instead of just assuming the worst. Trying to mask your struggles at any cost so that nobody knows you have problems, and then completely getting burnt out after the interaction, or unmasking with lots of people leading to unfavorable outcomes for you. Now, unmasking is great and it is very relieving. It should be practiced and should be done with people who won't take advantage of your weaknesses though. So it's a good thing to say, hey guys, I'm reading sometimes from my script, from my points, so that I don't forget them, because I have a smaller short-term memory than neurotypicals, because I know that you will understand. But maybe doing that at the revelation of your bachelor thesis or something will not have the same effect, because those professors expect you to know everything by heart. And maybe they don't accept the fact that it just doesn't all fit in here at the same time. So unmasking is good, but carefully, with people you trust, slowly. Otherwise, you can be punished and misused for your very real struggles. Struggling to maintain eye contact when speaking and thinking. It's really easy for us to look at other people in the eyes when they are speaking, but when we are thinking, it can be really distracting. And it's oftentimes more helpful to look to the side and be able to deliver proper information. That's one I recommend you unmask with as many people as possible, because it's one that they find more acceptable when you give them the proper explanation for it. Forgetting that other people exist when we are stuck in our own heads, when we are overwhelmed with our own lives, not calling to check in on them, forgetting to pick them up or something, or struggling to reply to their messages. Completely normal. I've seen all of us do it. Coming off as flaky and unreliable when people are planning things with you due to forgetting stuff and just generally struggling with your own life. Also completely fine, but it can be helped a lot if the people know what your struggles are, if they choose to support you, if there are systems in place that will help you follow through. Again, communication is the most helpful thing and what people usually wish the most from us versus being completely different. Being emotional and impulsive, sometimes at the worst time, triggering other people's traumas, boundaries, and everything in between without realizing it. Talking people's ears off, but sometimes forgetting to ask them how they are, maybe overwhelming them. There's probably no solution for this forever. It's more of an ongoing conversation with others where you will ask them to remind you to take breaks or explain stuff properly or communicate in a way that they can receive it better. But that's something you build on over time, probably through some more difficult conversations where you take in their feedback, but on the other side are so much more fulfilling and happy friendships. So tough conversations are sometimes the best thing you can do for your relationships. Coming off as too excited or too negative when you are on an ADHD high or a low, or just in general too much when you are feeling too many feelings, which is unfair because sometimes those are the things that could get us to be visionaries with amazing ideas, where if other people would only jump on the excitement, on that emotion, we could change the world for the better. But also understandable because we're often riding these emotional roller coasters that other people just naturally don't get much of. So a communication thing where you could ask maybe that they are more gentle when they notice you like that they are more helpful, that they provide careful feedback. But again, it really depends on the person and how much you can be vulnerable around them, how considerate they wish to be to you. Having 5 topics in the background of your head that you want to address while they are still talking to you, finishing their sentences, wishing you could play them at 2x speed. Again, a lot of communication can help with that, but sometimes there's nothing you can do and it's a proper struggle. Needing to talk through your ideas without even having the necessity for the other person to reply or give much feedback, because you just need to talk to them to bounce your ideas off of them so that you truly understand your thoughts, your feelings, your ideas. It can feel a little bit one-sided for them. They might feel overwhelmed and drained from that. So it's important to give them ways to give feedback in a way that is not hurtful for us, but is also acceptable for them so that it's all consensual. And finally, feeling like a bad friend for all of these things and more, and being too ashamed to reach out again. In that case, please reach out again. People are your friends for a reason, because they have a connection with you. They like you for reasons you may not even be able to imagine, because you are so focused on your own faults and things that you think are incomparably worse in you than they are, for example, in their other friends. But believe me, I've seen it time and time again. There is a reason you're valued. You may be their most interesting friend, their most exciting one that they have really much fun with, that they enjoy laughing with. Even if you talk their ears off sometimes, there are reasons that they're there. So give them a chance to tell you that, and don't just hide out of shame and punish yourself before you reach out and ask them how they feel about it really, including at work. Moving on to some general life struggles, like having problems with trying to take a shower, go to bed on time, make food for yourself, clean up, go for a walk, or generally do anything that will make you feel better in the moment when you need it most. Struggling with all kinds of addictions that you find comforting in those situations, like gaming, smoking, drinking, having sleep problems from going to bed too late, or staying up doing revenge bedtime procrastination, waking up at night because you have a billion thoughts, scrolling forever in the morning or in the evening, not having any form of schedule, forgetting to eat or pee or do any of the things that your body is screaming for you to do due to hyperfocus or general lack of self-awareness in the moment. Needing to move around constantly or fidget or sit, stand, etc., but not letting yourself do it because it's not socially acceptable and having a really bad time because of it. Also, something that is worse unmasking because usually it's not received as bad as you might think, again, if you explain it. Getting overwhelmed and distracted after receiving a certain amount of input. Example, when I recently visited London, there was a fuck ton of commercials and I have to read each one of them. For some reason, I just can't not read them. I can't not pay attention to them. And after a few rides to get to a certain destination, I was overwhelmed. Those things are really overstimulating for us, and I need to find solutions, ways to make it easier, to get accommodations in order to deal with that less if I am to expect myself to get over it and do other work right after that. Being burnt out because you need to put in 3 times as much effort as everyone else, not being able to achieve as much as neurotypicals would without making significant sacrifices to your personal well-being. A lot of us are not taking physical care of ourselves. We are sacrificing relationships or our free time, and that erodes our mental health massively. Never resting intentionally, only thinking about how you can do more, accomplish more, complete any goals. Go do some research to find really fun ideas, make a bucket list, put that on your wall, and the next time that you can take a break, take that break and do one of those things, and you will feel 1,000 times better after that. And you will even be more motivated to do that work, to do those habits that you wish to push yourself to do otherwise. An all or nothing mentality going to absolute extremes with any kind of plans or ideas that you have, like deciding that if you work out, you're going to work out every day. That's a very scary one that takes a lot of work to get out of, but it's so worth it to do. Having money struggles, either due to work problems or budgeting problems or reckless spending, riding that emotional roller coaster where one day is the best day ever, but a tiny negative comment or unexpected comment can make you feel like it's the worst day ever. All of that, normal, general struggles. And finally, some struggles that are born out of all of these other ones combined, all the trauma of being undiagnosed or maybe having people cancel you even if you are diagnosed, not getting really help and accommodation and understanding. They are feeling behind in life, because with all these other problems, how can you not get behind in life with the neurotypical agenda and idea of how life should be? Extremely low self-esteem because you think you're the worst and for all these other reasons, and therefore undervaluing yourself, for example, when it comes to business or school situations, letting everyone pass you and step on you. It really, really sucks. Not trusting yourself with things like starting hobbies or relationships because you feel like you have failed yourself too often in the past. Maybe even refusing to have kids or take your dream job or buy your dream house, or all of these things that come with a lot of responsibility because you don't think that you could handle it, or maybe you don't want to force other people to have the struggles that you have, whether it's your kids or your spouse or whoever will help you bear that responsibility. Feeling like you never find what is meant for you because stuff always inevitably feels boring and used up and you want to move to another thing. That's also a huge self-esteem issue at some point. And the worst one, which I feel is the root cause of depression for most of us, feeling like you're not enough because you're not. For neurotypical standards, you're not. But who even says that you should be? These neurotypical standards don't even make neurotypicals happy. So it would be smart to renounce them and make our own standards. Find out what would make us happy and what we want to achieve in our lives, and then find the people who want to walk that path with us, who will support us and understand us, so we don't have to change ourselves for every single person and live with that sensation that we are not what they expected. It's a really hard pill to swallow, that for some unfair reason, you just can't be whatever you want to be. But it is something that all disabled people, I guess, come to face, and anyone who gets sick or their life changes completely at a certain point. And I'm not sure one single person can ever really get over that on their own. There needs to be support from loved ones, from workplaces, from society, medication. If you can get any help, whatever helps you, therapy, coaching, all of the most supportive friends around you, do it. Fight for what you deserve. Find a way to redefine the life that you want and the standards that you want to fulfill. I love my ADHD friends. I love my ADHD coaches. You are wonderful people who are experts at what you do. And oftentimes you're really struggling with the prioritization, with the planning, with the things around it. You are not stupid. I wish you could see how wonderful you are from the side, but also I know how hard we can be on ourselves and how hard I am on me. So when you can't, I completely understand. But at least let me tell you that you are doing your best and you are doing awesome. Please, please don't give up. God. If you do feel like watching some more struggles, you can watch my work struggles bingo here. Let me know if you got a bingo for this video. And if you want to feel more positive, you can check out probably the most important lesson that I teach all of my coaches. Check this video out to learn how to manage your energy so you can actually stay productive over a long period of time without burning out, without getting overwhelmed, without being super stressed.